Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Your Own Pathway Leadership and Mental Wellbeing in the Workplace. Happy July and happy Independence Day for those who decide to celebrate it. And for those who choose not to celebrate it, that is perfectly fine. It is up to you to decide if you want to celebrate this holiday or not. And speaking of independence, Independence Day is all about freedom, and today's episode is about the freedom to make your own decisions and if this decision is right for you or not. So, the decision to quit your job without a backup lined up. I don't know about a lot of you, but I was always told, being an elder millennial, that you should never quit without having a job lined up. And of course, there are many advantages of quitting with a job lined up, which, the argument is that, oh, you're so much more employable when you are employed. And, when your job is sucking your soul and impacting your spiritual, mental health, sometimes quitting without a backup may be the best thing for you. And it is a decision that is not taken lightly. And today's episode is all about when to quit your job and not have a job lined up. And I know it's very risky. My personal experience, I went through this in 2017 when I quit without a backup. I quit without a backup. I honestly, if this is family watching this, this is the first time family knows that I quit without having a job lined up. And I was actually I was without a job for I think about 3 weeks, and then I found a job like that, but that was another story for another day, and even though I found a job, it changed the trajectory of my career and my life, but that is a story for another day. And so today's episode is deciding when, if you decide to take the leap and quit your job without a backup one. And what does this mean for you? What does this mean for you financially, emotionally, spiritually, all of that? And so we are going to go into this today for this week's episode. So quitting a job without a safety net is very daunting for a lot of us. And what it feels like? It feels like you're standing at the edge of a cliff and staring to the unknown. And even though you're doing that, and even though, even as you're doing that, you're looking down, there's something incredibly alluring about breaking free from the monotony of a 9 to 5 and pursuing something that truly excites you, excites your soul. And for a lot of people, for some, the idea of quitting without a safety net is daunting, it's scary, it's irresponsible, and yet at the same time, it could be a thrilling adventure and a chance to rediscover themselves and especially find a sense of purpose. Leaving a stable job, comes with its fair of risks and challenges, of course. And one of the things, of course, that we think about is the financial insecurity, is being one of the major concerns of quitting a job without a safety net. How will you pay your bills? How will you support yourself? How will you maintain your lifestyle? And of course, those are all good and valid questions. If you have a savings, you may be living off your savings. You may be taking on additional debt, and all of that could be very overwhelming emotionally, spiritually, psychologically. Besides the financial part, it all could be very, very tough. And you might feel anxious, there's a lot of uncertainty, or you maybe feel guilty about leaving a secure income that comes with a lot of comfort and stability. When you do this, of course, your friends and family might question your decision, your sanity, your responsibility, and your irresponsibility for doing this. And when you make this decision, your friends or family are going to think you're crazy or irresponsible for making this decision, which may lead you to feeling very isolated or unsupported. So Again, the risk are not just financial; they can also impact and affect your mental health. And when someone makes this decision, they might experience a loss of identity, especially if your job has defined who you are for years. It's also the stress of not knowing what's next can be exhausting, and there's always a pressure to find something quickly, which can lead to rush decisions and potential mistakes. Whenever you make this decision, people are like, "Well, what are you doing? Are you job searching? Are you doing this? Are you doing that?" Sometimes you just need a break, and if you make that decision without thinking much, this may lead you to your next mistake instead of your next alignment. And so, despite these challenges of everything that I just mentioned, many people have successfully made the leap and found that it was one of the best decisions that they've ever made. I mean, I think we've all heard again, I don't want to say, look at all these millionaires and billionaires and what they went to, and that too can be you. And yeah, that too can be you, and that too cannot be you. So it's really how you plan, your mindset, everything. There's a lot of pieces that go into this when you make this decision. And when people, take the leap, they often discover new passions, they develop resilience, and gain a fresh new perspective on life. So that's all positive. On the other hand, there are also stories of people who struggled to find their footing, who faced financial hardships, and who regretted their decision. Quitting a job without having another one lined up is a bold and very deeply personal decision, but it can also offer you a powerful kind of freedom that is hard to access when you're caught in survivor mode. And a lot of us are on survival mode and we're living on autopilot. So, in today's episode, we are going to talk more about quitting your job without a safety net and breaking free and escaping and embracing the risks. Again, this episode is not for everybody, and some people may even think, "Wow, Paya, you're being really like irresponsible," and you're not talking about what happens about the other end of what happens when things don't work out. Yeah, that could happen. And also at the same time, what if it does work out? What if it does work out? Now, when I say it does work out, I'm not saying that it's going to like work out overnight. It's going to take months and years to work out. It's going to take a long time if you are doing it intentionally and you are building strong foundations versus fake facade fast foundations. So that is the difference when you take the leap, when you break free and find freedom in building foundations or whatever it is that you're hoping to build. Here are some of the raw, real, and radical freedoms that you gain when you walk away without a plan, but with the deep knowing that staying is costing you too much at a job that sucks your soul and no longer aligns with you. So, number one thing you gain is mental clarity. Your mental clarity returns. And this means that you are no longer in a toxic, draining, or misaligned job. When you quit without a backup, your mind quiets, your brain fog starts to lift, and you can finally hear yourself think again. It's because you're no longer running on adrenaline or autopilot. You're no longer just, trying to survive. And you can finally connect with your true self again. So, a lot of us, I think a lot of us are just, when we're so confused, like, what's going on? What's this? What's that? We're so living on just autopilot. And when you decide to take the leap, when you decide to say, you know what, I can't do this anymore. I am going to take a leap. I'm going to listen to my heart and trust my soul. And I'm going to quit without a backup plan. Mental clarity returns, and you hear yourself do all the things that I just mentioned. So that's number one. Your mental clarity returns. Number two is you get to hear your voice again. And when I say this, I don't mean this like in a mental health way. It's like, oh, I hear voices. You hear your voice again. And what this means is that without the noise of meetings, managers, expectations, and politics, your coworkers, all that crap, you finally have space to ask, what do you want now? What feels aligned today? And not just 5 years ago, 2 years ago, even last year. What feels aligned today? And what is this silence? This silence, it's sacred, and it's where your next path gets revealed. Now, I always say this. This is why I take moments of silence in the mornings and at night. Um, I found that clarity, I found that silence leads me to clarity, which, leads me to my wisdom. And I'm like, oh my God, that's what I needed to do. All the answers are within. When I've been searching without, externally, they've all been within because I allowed myself to sit in silence. So that's number two is you get to hear your voice again, but of course not in a mental health way, but you get to hear your voice again. So that's number two. Number three is you break the cycle of emotional dependence. And so many people, especially in this country, and when I say this country, America, many people see jobs that validate their worth, their identity, or their fear of the unknown. And I've said this over and over again. Here in America, anytime you meet someone new, the first thing you ask is their name. The second thing you ask is their job. And we tie so much of our worth, identity, who we are with our profession that when our profession doesn't go the way that we planned or hoped or whatever it is, we blame ourselves and we think that we did something wrong because so much of our worth, value, and identity in this country is tied in our job and external validation. So, what happens when you decide to walk away without a safety net? What happens is you detach away from toxic validation. You realize that your identity is not your job. You build confidence on your own terms and leaving the breaks of the grips of needing a title to feel safe or seen. Like so many of us live by our title. Like, I'm a doctor, I'm this, I'm that. And we give people the respect based on their title instead of who they are, especially in this country. So, number three is you break the cycle of emotional dependence. Moving on. Number four is you reclaim your time. I think everybody in this world, all my clients that I work with, it's all about time. I've said this again and again too. Most people want to own their time and go by their time on what they want to do and not do. So when you reclaim your time, you don't have any more calendar invites, no more of that Google or Microsoft, I can't remember, Slack, none of that. None of those invites, none of those reminders, no more fake emergency, no more saying, oh, this is life or death about this, email. Nothing's life or death unless you actually work in life and death situations. An email is not a life and death situation, okay? I'm going to say that right now. Nothing is an emergency unless you actually work in life and death situations. And especially if you don't get to work from off and you don't get to work from home, you don't have any more darn draining commutes. I mean, commutes suck our soul. They take up so much of our time. 2 hours, back and forth, whatever, that's so much of your time and energy. No wonder why we're all so tired. 2 days in the US is not enough for us to recover from our commute and our jobs. So now you get to reclaim your time. And so what do you now have? You have mornings to start out slow. I can tell you, since I started Your Own Pathway, one of my biggest abundances is that I have slow mornings. I wish everybody can experience what it's like to have a slow morning, to wake up, have coffee, journal, go walk, go do whatever it is. Go take your dog out for a walk, bring your children to school. You have mornings to start out slow, and how you start your mornings really predicts how your day is also. So mornings that start slow, you also have days that don't feel like a blur. I mean, a lot of us are like, what happened today? Like today went by so fast. And some people love that. Some people love having a fast day. Some people are like, what did I even do today? And I've had days like that too. Don't get me wrong. I've had days like that too when I am productive. I don't say busy anymore. When I am productive, I'm like, oh my God, what did I even do today? And I look back, I'm like, well, those are all really good things that I did today. So your days don't feel like a blur anymore. Another thing is you have time to reflect, to rebuild, to rest, and create. When was the last time you got to do all of that? Reflect, rebuild, rest, and create. When was the last time you got to do that? When? And so when you decide to take the leap without a safety net, you get that. You get all of that back. And those are such gifts and abundances and wealth. We always tie wealth with money, and sometimes the wealth that we have or want is the wealth of time. So your time becomes yours again. And again, time is one of the most underrated forms of wealth. Like you can have all the money in the world, and if you don't have time, you're not wealthy. Yeah, you're wealthy externally, but internally, you're not wealthy. And I know some people are like, well, I'd rather be wealthy, Paya, with money. I don't care time. When you're so busy and you have no time for yourself or for your loved ones or whatever it is that is important to you, you're going to realize that time is the most important type of wealth out there. So you reclaim your time is number 4. Number 5, you create space for alignment, not just employment. I'll say that again. You create space for alignment and not just employment. And what this means is when you're out of the grind, when you're out of the hustle and bustle, you're able to be selective instead of reactive. And that means that you can research intentionally. You can reconnect with your passions, your hobbies, whatever it is that is important to you. You can explore and you can get to pivot. If you have side hustles, you can focus on that, or you can be creative in your work. If you've always wanted to like write, or maybe there's art or crafts or bake, whatever it is, like you have time to do that now. So you get to explore all the things that you never had a chance to. And I say this too, it's like allowing your inner child to come out, and it's adopting a beginner's mindset of I'm a student again, or I'm an intern, or I'm just starting new. I get to embrace all of this. I get to remain curious, and that curiosity is going to lead me somewhere. Best of all, you get to say no. You get to say no because you can now, and you stop choosing from fear and you start choosing from alignment. And I can speak to this too. I realized that I had so much fear. And when I had a lot of fear, I had a lot of anxiety. And when I had a lot of anxiety, I created a lot of fear for myself. And that fear was an illusion that I was like, oh my God, this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen. The more I thought bad, the more bad became real. And so when you are living intentionally, when you're living in alignment, you get to slow down, you get to really be real, authentic, and choose what matters to you, not because of fear, not because of anxiety, not because of scarcity. You get to choose from alignment. So that's number 4. Number 5. Number 6 is you finally get to prioritize your mental health. A lot of us quit or decide to take the sleep because of our mental health. I can tell you when I quit my job without a backup plan, it was all because of my mental health. Actually, it started out as my mental health, which became my physical health, and I realized my physical health was because of my mental health. And I knew that I had to make a change. And what happened was, in my case, I started having stomach pains, and I'm like, oh, God, I'm like, do I have an ulcer? And I went to the, we had a clinic, and I went to the clinic to check out what was wrong with me. And like, nothing's wrong with you. I'm like, are you sure? I'm having all these aches and pains, and I'm like, something must be going on. And I was also gaining weight. So I'm like, what is going on? It's like, nothing's wrong. That's when I knew. I'm like, oh gosh, okay, it's my mental health that is impacting my physical health. So, yeah. So you finally get to prioritize your mental well and your mental health. And what this means is you can rest without guilt. How many of us were told that we were lazy if we were rest, or that we're lazy if we choose to not do something, or that we're lazy for sitting down? We have this culture of shame and guilt whenever we decide to rest. It's like, I should be doing this, I should be doing that, I could get more done. Adulting means this, adulting means that. And it's like, you know what? No, rest and be instead of do. You heal without rushing, and you feel without numbing. So ask yourself this question: what do you need to do to feel whole again? Not just employed. What do you need to do to feel whole again? So that's number 6. Number 7 is you learn to trust yourself at a soul level. Now, I know this sounds like very woo woo. Like, you're like, Paya, I'm not a woo woo person. All this is so woo woo, like soul, spiritual, blah, blah, blah. And when I talk about all this, I come from a very holistic perspective. I talk about mind, body, spirit, soul, and all of this needs to be considered. And so you learn to trust yourself at a soul level. And what this means is that you're walking away without a plan is so terrifying, but you're also saying, I trust myself, that you know that there is something better out there. You know that you won't keep sacrificing yourself to be responsible. And you believe in the version of becoming and not just doing. And you have this self belief that you know that it's going to happen to you, for you, not to you, for you. So trusting your soul. And I say this to everybody: listen to your heart and trust your soul. Trust your soul. When you trust your soul, you trust your intuition, amazing things will happen. But you have to have that trust. You have to really work on your mindset when you decide to take the leap of saying, you know what? My job is sucking the soul out of me, and I need to do something. And I'm going to trust my soul and say it's going to lead me to bigger and better things than what I have now. How are you all feeling? I know that, again, some people would never do this, which I understand. And if you're watching this and you're debating, should I quit my job? Should I quit my job? Maybe, maybe this episode is a sign for you to take that leap. And again, everybody's situation, a life situation, circumstances is different. And you have to decide for yourself what is best for you. And I say this too: sometimes being irresponsible means being responsible. And I know you're probably like, what does that even mean, Paya? You're talking to riddles. Is whatever you do, when you follow your dreams, you follow your soul, you listen to your heart and soul. Yes, others are going to think you're irresponsible, because to have faith, to take the leap, to trust your soul, to do all that, people are going to think you're crazy, you're irresponsible. And to make things happen, you're going to have to do that. You're going to have to do that, believe that it can happen, and embrace that, yeah, you're going to make other people uncomfortable when you take the sleep. So, um, so in conclusion, like I said, quitting your job without a safety net is a personal decision that requires careful consideration, and you have to weigh the pros and cons, assess your financial situation, and think about what you hope to achieve. And again, it's a decision not to be taken lightly, but it can be a transformative experience for those who are brave enough to take the leap. The final truth is Quitting without a plan doesn't mean you're lost. It means you're finally decided to stop living in misalignment. You chose peace over a paycheck. You chose freedom over fear. And you chose you. And everything you build from here will be rooted in truth, intention, and power. And again, I know that this may not relate to everybody. And for those who are ready and understand what I'm saying, this is your sign to take that leap. This is your time. This is your sign to take that leap of faith. So that is all I have. And for those who have quit without a safety net or a job lined up, or if you're considering quitting your job or have already taken a plunge, share your story. Share your story about what happened and where you are, and put your comments in below. So I would love to, but we'd love to hear about your experiences, your challenges, what you face, and the lessons you learn, and put it down in the comments. So that is all I have for today. And again, I know this episode is not going to resonate for everybody. And if it did resonate with you, please hit the like and subscribe button. And my final words are take that leap. Take that leap. Your soul has wings and you will fly. So that is all. Take care, everybody. I will see you all next time.